Hey there, creative minds and business enthusiasts. Welcome to Looks Like We Made It, the podcast where we dive deep into the dynamic world of video marketing, content creation, and all things creative. I'm Izzy, your guide through this creative journey, wearing two hats, head of production and senior video editor. But I'm not in this alone. Meet the other half of our dynamic duo, my dad Chris, our director and the creative genius behind Howell Media. Together, we're not just a podcast, we're a father-daughter team on a mission to bring you insights, tips, and laughs from the heart of the creative industry. Whether you're a business looking to up your video game or a budding creative hungry for knowledge, this is the place to be. We've got real life experiences, expert advice, and a sprinkle of anecdotes to keep things interesting. This week we are answering the question, is this you? And we're joined by the wonderful John Forth from Is This You? So if you're ready to unlock the power of video, bespoke content and training to achieve amazing results, you're in the right spot. Fasten your seatbelts because this is Looks Like We Made It, where we turn creativity into success, one episode at a time.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Excellent.
Here we are.
John,
hello.
welcome.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. What an intro. Thank you, Issy and Chris. That's brilliant.
So for the last 65 episodes, I've said, why don't you just record that, Izzy?
It gets me in the zone. It gets me in the zone, and other podcasters will agree. It gets you focused.
Yeah.
It means I'm in it now. I'm in. It looks like we made it space. So thanks for coming on, John.
You're very welcome. And you actually spoke quicker than I do there, so you did well.
I know. I feel like we need a little competition.
Yeah.
We're very excited to have you on the podcast because you're a bit of a VIP.
It's been a while. We've been trying to get you on for a while.
Yeah. And it's great having you here. And we're obviously here at the BIC, and this is where you live as well. So
I live here probably 20 hours a day.
So we see each other plenty. But before we kind of really get into it, tell us a bit about you and a bit about Is This You?
Okay, so Is This You has been going for about 18 months now, and it's formed by a collection of friends who have come together. We've all had entrepreneurial journeys. We've all had big ups and downs. We've got some elite sports people. We've got an ex-Premier League footballer. We've got myself, a veteran of businesses over the last 30 years, would you believe? And we came together with a shared vision, really, to put together all of that experience and the lessons we've learned from the ups and downs, and pull it together to help business owners and help entrepreneurs and high-level business people to marry their personal lives with their business lives and pull it all together. So Is This You is basically look at your life, look at your career, look at your business. Are you where you want to be? Is this you? And asking that question, we can pull out a lot of the stories behind where people actually are. So a lot of our clients, they could be a real high-flying CEO or a real high-flying entrepreneur, but they haven't got it all sorted. Yeah. Their business could be flying, but behind the scenes, there might be personal problems. There might be health issues, because quite often, I know that myself, I've neglected my health in the past. So I've built two sort of pretty successful businesses, but I've been through the mill. So, I always say one of the stories is I was sitting in a bar in 2007 in Greece with a nice ice cold pint of Mythos, with the frost on the end, on the sides.
Oh, I could use that right now.
It's a bit Greek-like weather. And I'm sitting there, probably semi-retired at that stage, done pretty well, and looked at the telly, and there's a run on the Northern Rock Bank. Didn't know what a run on the Northern Rock Bank was. Didn't know, why all these people want their money out. And 2 years later, I'd lost everything. So I lost a 7-figure business, property portfolio, big house in the country, all those trappings, and had to hugely downsize. Kept my family. That was the biggest thing.
That's important. That's the key thing.
And so I had to build again from there. And that's part of my story. Yeah. And that's part of what I draw on when I help these entrepreneurs and CEOs.
I think it's fascinating that you are tying together the business journey, the personal journey, the health journey, the kind of the holistic package that makes that because it is weird that you can easily be defined by, because I get this as well, that I'm the guy that owns and runs Howell Media, who wears the funky shoes, and that's it. Yeah. And that it makes you can actually make you quite a two-dimensional character. But ultimately, you don't have a. It's a bit like when you see your school teacher out of school. It's almost like, God, you know, what's going on? These people exist out of that setting. Yeah. So I'm absolutely fascinated by the fact that you acknowledge all those things, but how you tie them all together. And I've been lucky enough to see your kind of life wheel in action, and I've done some of that work. And I think it's quite revolutionary, because I've never seen anybody or any organisation tie all that up. And I think that the key thing in your group, and I'm not just sort of blowing smoke here, but I think that the key thing in your group is that authenticity of experience, because you can't beat that. You know, on a personal note, I'm always, back in the day when you'd go and see your business advisor at the bank, or a business, someone who's going to give you some sage business advice, and they know nothing. They've done nothing. Yeah. They know nothing. They've never had a business. They've never sat there at 3:00 in the morning thinking, what am I doing? How is this going to work? And I think that authenticity of experience is that totally shines through,
and that complements really us as a business, because we're a family business. So it's like
you'd never know.
The resemblance isn't there at all. But for us as well, is that family businesses in particular, they do perform and behave differently in a lot of ways to normal businesses, and that's why a lot of them do find that community, and because the personal and the business is so tightly wound and connected. So I know that this is obviously boss, captain, driver of the ship, but also my dad. And sometimes, sometimes you want your dad, and sometimes you need your boss. And for me, I get to pick between the two. And we've got our name on the business, and it is like very personal and very kind of business focused as well. So, what would you say to people who feel like they're in that situation you were in when you sort of had to build back up from nothing, when you had to, maybe it's for people who are startups, who are literally starting at page one, what would be your sort of beginning advice for them?
Beginning advice is really speak to as many people as you can who've been there and done it. Mm-hmm. The amount of clients who come and say, oh, well, Uncle Jim said such and such, and Auntie Maisie said such and such. You need to speak to people who've been there and done it, because it's that life experience, and they've been through it, what you've been through. So it's, I think it's totally invaluable. And I've been very lucky, because the guys who I'm in business with Is This You, we've coached each other. So we've coached each other for years and years through our issues, So I've had two. I had that business I mentioned where I lost everything, and then I built another good business and exited that. But my real challenge came in COVID. So in 2020, I'd built my second business, and I was fairly comfortable. But I had realised that I'd painted myself into a corner. I was working by myself. I was isolated. And then when COVID hit, I got almost flashbacks as to what happened again in 2008, and thinking this is going to happen again, and I'm going to lose it all again. And I got more anxious than I had previously, because I'd only known success up to that point. Now it was this is happening again. So going to my good friend Phil Gray, who is a fellow director of Is This You, and he helped me and coached me there. But I was at a point in 2001 where I could almost not leave the house through anxiety once the lockdown had left.
2021?
In 2020. Did I say 2021?
Yeah, you took 20 years off. That's fine.
Yeah. I am younger than I am.
We'll edit that out.
2021, yeah. And I think it's just having somebody who's been through what you've been through, and but as many people as possible, getting that advice.
So as a group, would you say you're kind of greater than the sum of your parts?
100%.
Do you think as a machine, you all connect, and that makes a bigger, better thing?
Absolutely. We've all had different life experiences and different business experiences, and the guys, two of the guys have been in elite sport as well, and the parallels between elite sport and business are huge. There's probably not one business scenario where you can't tell an elite sports story that sort of resonates. Yeah. And so, we've all had different experiences. We've all got different strengths. And the great thing about Is This You is we do one-to-one coaching, and we do group coaching and team coaching. So we do high performance teams. But we'll kind of figure out who's the best coach to lead that project, and maybe it's a number of us. So we'll bring our colleagues in when they for dealing with certain areas where it matches their strengths.
And are there any particular sort of sectors or industries or businesses that you particularly gel with and work better, or do you find that issues and that it's the same across the board, regardless of
they're the same across the board? Startup to CEO, it's the same, because they're quite a lot of overwhelm, quite a lot of confidence issues. Yeah. Imposter syndrome for CEOs.
I was going to say that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Getting found out.
Absolutely. I've winged it. I'm sitting in this great big office, and it depends on your mindset. So a lot of CEOs have maybe got it nailed on the business side and on the confidence side, but maybe they've lacked in focus on their health or maybe their family. And this happens quite a lot. So we try and have that holistic approach and look at what we call the wheel of life, and look at those areas. And sometimes if you're grading your current situation between 1 and 10, say, and 10 being your ideal, you may be at 9 for your finance and your business, but you might be at a 2 for your family or your health. Mm-hmm. It's better to balance that out and try and focus on those things. And you maybe lose a little bit finance-wise, but is it not better to have that balanced life so that you can excel in all areas?
Totally.
And does it act as a kind of like, on this kind of wheel concept? Does it act like if you almost like, is it a natural consequence that if you lower one, almost like the other one, others increase, or is it so personal that
it's so personal it differs? Right. But a huge part of it is prioritization, time management, and focus. Mm-hmm. So if you are not focusing or prioritizing things like health and family, and I've done that in the past, particularly when things went a little bit pear-shaped with the credit crunch in 2008, I spent many, many years after that focusing almost purely on getting the finance side back, but I neglected everything else. And it's only once you've got to a certain level, I suppose, or realise you need help, or you've hit the bottom, that you think, I need some support with this. And then you look at it holistically and think, and now, because we've got such awareness, and we try and help our clients with the awareness, is to try and rectify problems before they begin. Mm. So, for instance, I knew that I'd been spending so much time on the business over Easter, I just disconnected completely. Everyone was really, really happy because I wasn't on LinkedIn. And my bald head wasn't appearing on every feed. But I disconnected completely for 2 weeks, recharged, and came back. And I did it again. I do it quarterly. I do the wheel of life. I do the actions and my goals quarterly. And at first they don't really match where you might end up, but now I'm quite in tune with it. So what I set out to do, I generally kind of achieve in one way or another. And it might not be 100% of the goal, but if it's 75%, I'm taking it.
That's great.
So go on.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm like the net in a tennis match.
I'm watching baldy tennis.
Yeah. I'm watching this conversation. It's fantastic. I've got my content head on, and I always think about like our clients who want to share their stories and talk about, maybe in the same way that you have, like how their personal life and their personal journey has created their business journey and triggered that. Like, what's your opinion on that phenomenon of people being vocal about that story and that experience? Like, is that something that, like, because a lot of people, there is that thing on LinkedIn and stuff where people go, this isn't Facebook and this is a business setting and stuff. What is your opinion on blending that and bringing that to the fore and using that really in your promotion?
Yeah, I think the more true and authentic you are when you're
you had a weird collar. Sorry.
Oh, but you were tickling me.
The more authentic I think you are, and the more people see the person behind the story, then people, we see it again. I've just been at a presentation that you've done, Izzy, and it is a cliche. People buy from people, but yes, it's the whole thing for me on the marketing front is know, like, and trust. And it's very hard to sell to someone who doesn't know, like, and trust you. Mm-hmm. And how do they know you unless you put yourself out there, and how they're going to like you unless you do so as well. So, but believe this or not, in 2021, I'd never done a social media post.
Really?
Really?
But you're everywhere.
Yes.
That's amazing.
You've done 43,000.
Yes, yeah, I'm making up for lost time. And one of my goals because what I did was I basically decided I was going to leave my business because I was a one-man band. I was painting myself in a corner. I worked from an office at home. I saw nobody. I was a keyboard warrior. I wasn't getting out there. I wasn't getting that sort of interaction and that connection. I've always had, quite a strong friendship group, but that had all kind of dissipated to just WhatsApp, and I wasn't. Friday night was exactly the same as Wednesday night. And I wanted that Friday feeling. I wanted that achievement and that collective sort of, that engagement and that connection. So I decided I was going to leave that business. Massive, massive life change. And I looked at my values, my vision, what I want to achieve out of life, what I'm good at, what I'm not very good at. And I looked at all of that and how do I craft a life and a business that I really want? I knew I wanted to be in business, and I knew I wanted to be in business with people I loved being with. And I wanted to connect with communities that I didn't yet know. And so I decided that was what I was going to do.
So how did it all come together then?
It all came together with a very loose plan,
right.
But I knew what I wanted because I knew it was all value based.
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted, and I knew I wanted a business that I would love to go into every day, and that was the brief. So essentially, I stopped doing what I was doing, and I just got out and put myself about, and I got into networking events, and I hadn't yet done a social media post, nothing. I hadn't done anything. Wow. And I saw an advert for a business advisor at the BIC, and I thought, ooh, yeah, that's aligned with where I want to be. As long as the decision I was making was, if this is aligned with where I want to go, I'm gonna say yes. Yeah. So I took the role at the BIC, and that put me at the forefront of a lot of business networks in Sunderland, and I decided I just had to get out my own way. I had to build the confidence and just be transparent. And you know what? The minute I did it, the love I got was brilliant. And now I feel like I've developed more relationships, deeper conversations. People know who I am now, instead of maybe just seeing a corporate facade. So it's about the personality behind it, and I think you've got to show everything. You've got to show the warts and all. You've got to show what worked and what didn't work. That's how I feel about it.
That's amazing, and that is pretty much similar to us. And I think it really is like a community here. So you've definitely placed yourself in the right place.
I was one of them going like that to you guys, wasn't
I? I think you were like the Pied Piper taking us over here. I think, and we've sort of settled very nicely.
So on a broader footing. So a couple of questions. So, what do you think of what's happening in Sunderland? I don't know if you can hear at the minute that they're actually building Crownwork studios across the river.
It reminds us of all the stuff we're working towards.
Yeah, because I've heard you described as Mr. Sunderland. What's your view on what's happening? What's occurring, and what's your kind of feedback on that? And I suppose the second thing is, as this is a kind of a film and video and content creation type podcast, just a more general question about how you're using sort of social media, how you're using video, how you're using content within your business, and kind of how that's going to go.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well, the two aren't actually connected, actually, but my head's like a sieve, so I thought I'll get them both out.
Well, there are definitely other contenders for Mr. Sunderland. Definitely.
It needs to be like a pageant.
Yeah. but yeah, I'm very vocal about my passion for Sunderland and how exciting it is at the moment. I love the Sunderland Football Club, but in and around it, you've got £2 billion worth of investment going on. You've just seen all the high rise getting built and the beautiful buildings. We've got a lot of new venues coming along, Sheepfolds and tons of other venues in Keele Square, Culture House being built, which you guys know all about. Yep. And then obviously the bridge over to the stadium. We are going to be the home of British esports. Well, we are the home of British esports. We're building the esports stadium now. We've got Music City, which is a huge deal. And I've loved working with all of the people involved in all of those areas. Absolutely love it. It's so exciting. And then, of course, we've got Crownworks. And what we're seeing now, because part of my role with my big hat on is welcoming new businesses into Sunderland. So you guys are here, and more we're seeing new media businesses coming in, seeing the opportunities, but I think what really, because that's 5 years away, really, but we've got to get ready now. The infrastructure has to be ready now. But what is happening is companies are coming in and they're just blown away by the supportive business culture that we've got. Everybody supporting each other. Everybody can see the vision and wants to bring everyone along with them. And I think it's so strong. It's so exciting. I've not experienced anything quite like it. So yeah, it's fantastic. And and with regards to using video and all those mediums, we are, I would say, pretty much in our infancy of using it. And I've got a mastermind boot with you, Issy, haven't I?
I know.
Just to get a bit more.
We'll pick each other's brains next week.
And with that whole kind of film and industry coming along, I've done a couple of voiceover gigs now. My first ever voiceover was reading a poem about Sunderland, which was premiered at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas recently. Amazing. So that was pretty amazing. But that again comes from I've defined and know exactly what I want to do. And so every decision is based on that. And that was a big yes, both a personal profile, because I love Sunderland and what we're doing here. And I just want to put myself out there, and it's the know, like and trust. So why not? And then obviously there's other projects.
I was going to say, that's it. I think what's great is that you are Mr. Sunderland, but you're also the voice of Sunderland now, because your voice will be throughout May into the early weeks of June. You're going to be heard across Sunderland in the middle of Keele Square, which is amazing. So we're really looking forward to sharing that.
You're actually Mr. Sunderland poetry voiceover man, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So it's quite a narrow.
It's a long title. The .com is gone.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So where can our audience? How can they get involved? How can they find out if this is them?
Okay, if this is them, that's a good question. Well, LinkedIn. If you look for me on LinkedIn, John Forth, or Is This You? So it's isthisyou.com. But I think LinkedIn is our primary platform. That's where we do a lot of our stuff. And, you'll see that, from the feedback that we get and the people who are involved with us, I think we're doing the right thing. And, I feel really proud of what we are doing and the achievements of the people who we're working with. We've recently had, not a rebrand, but we wanted to get our sort of, our ethos out in a very tight little strap line, and we've actually crafted, and I'm really proud of it, for lives well lived. So it Is This You for lives well lived, and it's personal and professional development and business development. But it's not just for your life, it's for everyone around you. It's for the networks, for your family, it's for everyone around you. And I think that just sums up what we're trying to achieve. LinkedIn is definitely the place where we are, but isthisyou-.com is our website, but we're all over LinkedIn.
Cool. And do you only work with people and organisations in this area? What's your kind of geographical reach?
So for our listeners in America,
as it happens, we've taken on now a coach in Dubai, which is really exciting. And we are launching our academy soon, and the academy basically is going to be a Chartered Institute of Management, or authorised and endorsed. So we are spreading our wings and taking on coaches that go through our academy and become an Is This You coach. So our reach is fairly wide now. We've got an associate coach in Chicago. We're pretty much set on expansion. We've got another. Our main hub is the Northeast, but we have another hub in Manchester. So one of our directors is a Mr. Manchester. So they're down there, and essentially we're running those two hubs. but then, everywhere in between, and looking to spread our wings in that way.
That's amazing. Wow. I mean, we could talk all day, literally. So, I mean, the fact
it has been said of me,
the fact that we've got a 30-minute mastermind next week, I do think me and you'll be a 3-hour mastermind, because we'll just be chatting. Yeah. But to close off all of our podcasts, I do like to do a little silly question.
Here we go. I should have researched
and
this.
I normally get excited. I normally think of them while we're speaking, but I was very good and I prepared like a big long list.
I can't see those.
You can't read them, so it's fine. So we're good.
Here we go.
I need jumbo type.
Yeah.
See, do we go? I think, okay.
This is not good telly.
No, don't worry. I'll cut this bit out. Okay. Right. What's the weirdest or most unexpected piece of advice that you've ever had in your life?
Oh my God.
It is the most unexpected piece of advice.
Wow. That is really tough.
And but I'll give you an alternate question if you wish. You wake up tomorrow with a completely different career. What is it and why? Which one would you rather go for?
What, as me now? As me now, or
you
or
wake
another
up
version
tomorrow.
of me?
You wake up tomorrow with a completely different career. I think that's a good one to go for. Let's go for that one.
Okay.
But
Stop picking holes in
I'll
it.
go for it. I'll go for it.
go on then.
All right. I'd give myself a shot at stand-up. I'd give myself a shot at stand-up. Not that I think I'm like super funny or anything, but I've worked so hard on stage presence, and I think I've got a bit of chat sort of thing, and I've had fairly interesting life, and lots of things have happened, and I've got a really good friend who's in the comedy business. So he partners with Bob Mortimer in Athletico Mince and other things. So I think I could get a bit of a guidance off him. Okay. I love being on stage. I've realised that I do like putting myself out there. Good. I would hopefully combine those and become like maybe a Z-list comedian.
I can see John Forth at the Apollo. I can see that. That's amazing. And you know what? I didn't expect that. And mine was like something like, I would love to be a pilot. Yeah, but I think mine requires a bit more technical knowledge. I think. Yeah. But I've
got bad eyes. I couldn't. Nobody wants to make me a pilot.
I'm basically blind and can't do maths, so my role would be terrible. But
I would be a retired.
Retired.
Just retired.
Retired anything.
Yeah. I would be I would have been a professional footballer or a racing car driver.
Well, if Nottingham Forest are listening, we're surrounded by memorabilia. So.
Yeah, what I would have been is I'd have been a retired Nottingham Forest player, and I would have lifted trophy after trophy, just that.
That is amazing.
Would you be good friends with Roy Keane?
Oh, I don't think anybody can be friends with Roy Keane. Was it the only guy that can have a fight with himself in a phone box? Wasn't it?
That is amazing. Well, that's a good. I mean, I look forward to seeing you on the pitch and you on the stage. Me in the air.
Yeah.
I've probably, just on that note, I've probably mentioned this before. I did turn out for an 11-a-side game relatively recently because they were desperate. I mean, if you call me, you are desperate. And during the game, the referee actually blew the whistle and came over to me and asked me if I was all right, because I looked so unwell 25 minutes into a proper game that
25 minutes is good goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 25 minutes.
Yeah. I was playing walking football in a non-walking football environment. So
that is amazing.
In a different time. That would be
well, thank you so much, John. I suppose I've already spoken about where people can find you, but is there anything specific, any specific plugs you want to make?
Yeah.
Have you got a book out?
We haven't got a book out at the moment. We're working on a book. We're going to be doing a series of workshops and programs that we're going to be launching out into the world. We've been honing our craft, let's say, over the last year. Right. So look out for those. We're trying to take this success coaching out of just the realm of CEOs and high level execs and into everyone's lives and at a sort of reasonable price point. So we're going to try and go a bit more mass market with the digital stuff. But it'll be all us as well. So good content at a good price.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming
on.
And
we got a funny anecdote. We got a budding stand-up comedian here. Maybe John could do it.
I've got an outro.
Oh, an
but-
outro. Okay.
Well, I feel like it's got to be funny now. I'll do it in a funny voice. And that's a wrap on this episode of Looks Like We Made It. Thanks for tuning in, whether you're here for video marketing insights, the storytelling magic, or just to hear me and my dad talk shop. We drop new episodes every other Tuesday, so hit that follow button and stay tuned for more tips, real life experiences, and behind the scenes stories from the world of content creation. And if you want to keep the conversation going, you can find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and our website. Just search for Howell Media and say hi. We'd love to hear your thoughts or answer your questions or even have you on the show just like John. If you've got a great story to share or fancy joining us for a chat, drop us a message. We're always looking for inspiring guests just like John. Until next time, keep creating, keep storytelling, and remember, every great piece of content starts with an idea. See you in 2 weeks. Bye for now.
Bye. Thanks.